What's going on, guys? Jaydaniel here with the Sales at Home podcast with Mr. Victor and our guest for the day, Rahul Alim. What's going on, guys?
What's up, boss man? How you doing?
Man, I'm excited to wrap with you guys, talk some sales materials, help the people.
Awesome. We're excited to have you on. I mean, we've seen GSD, we've seen it blow up, we've seen what you're doing with it right now. Can you give us a little bit of perspective on what GSD is, who you are, and what you are trying to accomplish?
Yeah, I'll start off with the GSD, what it is. Like what it is what it's not, first of all, is a coaching program. It's more of like a mentorship, a mastermind, and we built like a community because I get it. There's a million coaches out there teaching a million different shiny objects. So what we try to differ is really kind of take the perspective of anybody who's brand new to somebody who's already killing it, doing six figures and wants to add and sprinkle some fuel on that fire and really give them a customized handheld experience because we've all been to like universities, we've all been through coaching programs, we've all been fucked over by somebody some way or another, right? So our job is to kind of eliminate those experiences, but also at the same time embrace what they've already learned and bring it out of them because somewhere it's locked in the back of their head. They just have not exposed it because the wrong people were teaching maybe the right thing. It could have been a timing thing, but we really kind of like to get down and dirty to the person. So we teach coaches and consultants and marketing agency owners primarily on how to grow and scale a business, not just how to hit 30 grand and then dip and die and crash, but have something they could be proud of to create some sort of significance in themselves and their lives, but also make it sustainable so you can do it for a long fucking period of time because burning out is easy to do. It just lacks focus and lacks clarity. And that's what we want to stop is that burnout because I mean, it sucks being lost. And that's really kind of a core cause of what causes people to fail.
Definitely. I like that.
I want to throw a question in there. So, what do you feel like is the biggest mindset shift people need to have who usually come to you to actually like get results, in your opinion?
Okay, good one. Like his mindset is a lot of it. I mean, it depends on who you ask. Like Tony Robbins has a quote, it's all 80% is mindset, 20% is skill and talent. I'm just going to change my background image for a second here. And I kind of live and die by the Bryant rules. I love Kobe Bryant. He's the same age as me. Like he unfortunately, rest his soul, rip Kobe. He crashed not too far away, like a couple miles down the block in that tragic helicopter accident. But I really kind of like the first thing is you have to like believe that your product can actually solve a fucking problem. Number two, you have to believe it's worth it. And then you have to go back and just do all the work and believe in yourself that you can accomplish it. So it's a lot of a belief system because nobody's born out of their mom's womb and says, hey, I'm going to be an amazing agency owner by the time I hit 29. Everything is awesome because it's all learned behavior. It's just how bad you want it. And that's how quickly you're going to probably get it. Because if you believe it's worth it, you're going to do anything in the world to go accomplish that. But if you have an ounce of uncertainty in yourself or your product or your company, then you may as well throw in the chips because you will fucking fail. You have to have those certainties and that belief system first.
So would you say GSD is more of a high performance program, like just to kind of unlock that beast, or is it?
Yeah, I think it is because like we've taken people who are timid and shy with offers and taken them from charging this nonsense $500 a month SEO to now that same person, same people closing like $55,000 annual deals. So it is like a shift in a perspective of what's out there because I come from that same vein. I was the guy closing $200, $300 fucking deals. And then I realized, holy shit, like if I just charge 3,000, the same amount of energy and effort is going to go into it. If I charge 30,000, it's going to just cash flow the hell out of me. Now I can have a scalable business. So it just depends on the product or service that I'm offering. But yeah, I mean, we teach people how to really instill the confidence in themselves, but mostly the lack of confidence and the lack of clarity they have is they just don't know what they're doing. They just know that, hey, the market charges X dollars. Let me just copy it and make it no better. In fact, it's already worse because they don't know how to actually even fulfill it. So we kind of just show them like those step-by-step roadmap of like what's most important. Because like to me, the number one thing that makes life a heck of a lot easier for salespeople, marketing, and everybody is just mastering a fucking offer. And then understanding what niche you want to put that into. So if you have a really dope offer and you have a really good niche, and there's other ways to kind of identify the niche. Like I have a program, if the audience finds value, and I can give away a free program that covers like the foundations of an agency, on what it takes to do this for, I've been doing this for 18 years, and what it takes to do this for a long, sustainable period of time without burning out. But yeah, like having that offer, understanding who you serve are absolute core ingredients. Then you can attach a price, whether it's a fixed price where it's productized or if it's value based. Value based just simply means, like you guys know what it means, but for the audience, value based means how important it is to the other person to solve that problem. So if they're losing $150,000, $200,000 every single month, or heck, even every year, they may be willing to pay a higher premium, maybe $20,000, $30,000 to solve that, to stop the bleed. But not only does it stop the bleed, but it makes this efficiency in their business that they can actually increase revenue without having to hire more people or feel frantic at night.
Yeah, so I like that. It's having a solid product, but even more than that, it's having a belief that your product is solid. Because like you said, you can charge $200 for something that would sell for 30, and the only difference is the way you think about it and the way you believe in it and the effort you put into making sure that people know you believe it. Because if people don't believe that you even can sell your product or that your product even works, then you've got nothing. You've got
Mhm.
something that works, but no one believes it's going to work because you don't even believe it. You don't believe in yourself enough to push yourself to that limit to say, you know what, I'm not going to charge $200. I'm not going to charge $5,000. I'm going to charge what it's worth. And if it's worth 30, it's worth 30. And if it's worth 30, people are going to buy it at 30. You just have to then get into the knick-knack stuff of finding your audience and marketing and all of that.
100%.
Something in your body like unleashes when you completely believe in what you're doing. Like it's a different conversation, because we've all talked to timid people. Heck, some of the audience may be timid themselves and they may be feeling this pain right now, that if you don't believe in it, it's going to be an uphill battle at all times. You're going to be that what is it, that Greek god that's constantly pushing the rock up the hill, and right when he gets to the top, it's just going to fall right at the bottom. You got to start the same thing every single day. So it comes down to a core belief system. And those are the types of people that I say, like, get somebody on your side, get somebody to help you walk through that trap of what you're in, so you can kind of unlock what your full potential is, because there's no valor in delaying success. Like I've always been a man of, if I'm going to ask people for money, I better be willing to spend it myself,
Yeah.
because I see too many fucking people out there, especially marketing agencies and coaches. Like they'll go ask somebody else for some money, but they will not invest themselves. That is going to show up on calls. That is going to be a mirror, the law of mirrors. You're going to attract the people that are like you. So if you are cheap, you're going to attract cheap people. If you invest into whatever it is for your skill, you're going to attract those people, because then you have like a belief system and also like a really good story that you can bring out on these calls. I mean, I feel confident saying I've hired like Tony Robbins, I've hired Eli Wild, I've hired some of the best people in sales, I've hired some of the best people in marketing. And if we level it up to people that the audience may not even heard of, like the CEO of stamps.com, the original founder, the guy that raised 800 fucking $1 million, I've had him over for meetings to teach me and help me how to think way bigger, way differently. Because if this dude can raise 800 fucking $1 million for a company that was like putting stamps on the internet in a time when nobody, like everybody loved their little like sticker stamps, like that's a hard thing to do. And even like I've had the CEO of Sony Home Entertainment Group. He's retired from that job now, but the dude was running a portion of the business that he took from 300 mil to 3 billion. And those are kind of the perspectives that I like to have personally, that those little things like make me think so much bigger, because like if I only thought the way I believe, then I wouldn't grow. And I know that you guys can all attest to that too. But that's such a big thing. It sounds like a cliche almost, that it's unbelievable. Like we're trying to get somebody to think, hey, go hire coaches. The reality is it's the truth. You have to, it's fact. No person became significant without help. And how did they get that help? They paid somebody above them that they wanted to mirror and mimic. That's kind of how I do it. And I make really, really gut decisions. That's me. If I feel it, boom, you better take my money, Mr. Salesperson, because I need to do this now. Because if you give me time to think, then I'm definitely out the door. I'm hard to reach.
Yeah, I like that. It's not the classic mentality of fake it till you make it. It's
Mhm.
mirror it and follow exactly what they've done to be successful. And you only can do that by paying for someone to show you what they did to be successful.
Yeah, and you got to do a lot of repetitions. I mean, like think about like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan's, Wayne Gretzky's, Pete Sampras going old school there. I mean, and even Tom Brady. Like think about how they've been able to do things over a long period of time at the top of their game.
Yeah.
It's not because they're just naturally gifted and they've been there and they can coast through. Those are the guys that are in first, out last, and that's just consistent because they believe in it. They have a passion for it. They have a burning desire for it. So to them, it's actually not work. It's what they're here to do. And I mean that's kind of like the most important part to me as far as being motivated to wake up day in, day out and do this hard work because we have such a bigger why.
You've mentioned Kobe quite a bit, and I grew up in San Diego, so I grew up loving Kobe, hating the Lakers, more of a Clippers fan, and just that's how I grew up. But you can't not love the work ethic of Kobe Bryant. And it took, for me personally, it took him passing and deep diving into who he was and what he stood for in his work ethic to really grasp the level of attention that he paid to development and to growing and to focus and to performing at your best. And that's something that I loved your, the Bryant rules, because it's something that I've watched and I've noted since he's passed, that it's like, wow, this guy really lived everything. This wasn't a personality that he put on. He wasn't like hanging out with other people outside because he's buddy buddy. He was focused. And when he says you weren't with me in the gym, he meant it because he was in the gym, So it's like that mentality of, if I'm going to build something, if I'm going to grow, if I'm going to become a business owner or a salesperson or a father or a husband or whatever I'm going to become, I need to put that same level of intensity, that same level of growth, and the same level of focus in production to become that person, or else I'm wasting my time.
Yeah, those habits bleed out to so many other areas, like you just nailed, like family, health, wealth, relationships. Like you attract a lot of good people when you're at the top of your game.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we're on this podcast together because we've seen each other online doing good things. So, I mean, it just creates this open network of like a lot of people will think it's luck because they didn't see the backstory of anybody's journey. It's like they're just seeing the today if you just came across somebody. But you have to understand, like, I have a graphic, I stole it from Lionel Messi, and his said like I've worked 10 years 122 days to become an overnight success. I'm a little older than him, so I said I've been working 20 years 114 days to become an overnight success, because it was a lot of hard work, it was a lot of sacrifice. I've missed weddings, I've missed funerals, I've missed Thanksgivings, I've missed Christmas dinners. It's because I believed in what I'm doing so much, and also the relationships I have realized what my goal is, so they're all supportive. They didn't say fuck you, you're a dick, you missed certain things. They understood this is like mission driven, and now I've got so much free time. I put in the hard work. If I want to coast for the rest of my life, I could. And one of the things that I embody into the GSD students a lot is like, you can literally have one fucking breakout year. 1 year of your life has to be absolutely remarkable, whether that's $2 million, 3 million, 5 million is the number I like. That's going to take a little while for some people. But once you have that, you can literally go and invest 10% the rest of your life and you are retired. So I mean, it's that one breakout year. We just don't know what year that's going to happen. You can get a big account and it can change your life. Like I've had multiple big accounts, like multiple publicly traded companies that have paid me well, but it was all that hard work and effort that made me extremely lucky.
Yeah, like Jaydaniel and I talk about it a lot. It's the idea of, you're not working for tomorrow. You're working for the future, setting yourself up, making sure that you're good, not just I'm good right now, that I can go buy that car that I want, that I can get that house. It's that I can set myself up for life. And then once I've set myself up for life, I'm not working to set up everybody that comes behind me for life as well.
It's generational, right? Like a lot of
Yeah.
people think about, like you mentioned, their tomorrow, but what they're not realizing is that the decisions you make, the patterns and habits that you have, this is going to be generational. This can be hereditary. You can be that driving force of making your children extremely fucking lazy, extremely like begging for shit, never investing and never wanting something. It can be hereditary because they're going to follow their habits of their leader, which is typically their guardians, right? The people they see the most. I'm on that same light. I just think, man, imagine that one decision that you made, that you actually took the action, or the decision you didn't make. What kind of stratosphere are you going to now live in? On one end, you could be all the way in the moon in the sky. On the other end, you could be just living in the shit you're living in now.
Yeah.
One thing I'm curious about too, because like obviously like you kind of like to cultivate like a lot of high performers. Um, I'm currently like taking probably 9 to 10 calls a day, talking to different agency owners, people who have e-com stores, right? Just bigger companies. And the biggest thing I hear is like, hey, like I've worked with 5 to 10 different agencies. They've taken all my money. I've gotten no results. Um, have you noticed that just talking to different people, and what are your thoughts on that kind of? Because I was in this industry 6 years ago in 2016.
Right.
They were like digital marketing. What's that? Billboards, right? Now,
Right.
now it's like we've been burned and fucked and tossed around. So I'm curious. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, we already have to go in prepared for that because we are in 2022. Like, think about the barrier to entry. It's lower than real estate. Fuck. Like, it's anybody can literally, like, if I snap my fingers, there's probably 1,000 digital marketing agencies that don't know digital marketing or e-com coaches that can just say, I'm a fucking coach. It's just a title, it's self-labeled. So we already go in understanding their past. That's why what we do differently than what we did like years ago is we do so much content. Like you mentioned, you see my alerts going live all the time. It's because
Okay.
we want to get in front of people. We want our marketing to do a lot of the heavy lifting. We want them to be familiar with us because going from cold to sold is becoming a little bit more difficult, especially if you charge high ticket and you may be coming across somebody that can't afford that on that particular call. So those are longer calls. It goes into the belief system. It's not really the belief of the product and service, it's in the belief of them because they're on this call for one reason. They know they've been fucked over. They know they hired incorrectly. The one thing they have going for them is it's still burning. They're still curious. They still want something. Now they've known a lot of ways not to do things. Now it's our job to put them in the line of what is right. So now we can literally collaborate because we're not selling anybody anything until they're willing to commit to themselves. Then we can actually offer a solution to whatever pains they're having. Because if somebody wants to buy a coaching program, I can't sell it to them because I don't know what's going on. Because if they want to do like Amazon arbitrage or Airbnb arbitrage, I don't sell that shit, but I do sell coaching. So I just dig in. I get so much background information on the person. But most importantly, when people get in touch with us, it typically comes through organic or ads. Those are like really the only two ways to market. We try to do our best to put as much content in front of them before they get on our call, whether it's a 3-minute video that explains our whole entire program that short, which was brought down from 15 minutes because nobody would watch that long. And then we have tons of testimonials, reviews, trust indicators, all this shit, awards, all that stuff they get to see before the call. And we have a follow-up system. So we make sure that they do see it because that's important to us. Because if somebody's saying, hey, I want help, but I'm unwilling to watch like 7 minutes of content prior to, then we're maybe dealing with a non-committal person. So I think it's important that people like listen and pay attention to what they're buying, because I wouldn't just go buy a car at the dealership. I'd have a lot of questions, right? But with the access to information, I'm going to watch some videos. I'm going to get an idea of on a high level of like the features, what the upgrades. I might play with the pricing thing, and then when I go in, I can have a real intelligent conversation and not dick the dude around. I mean, because that's why they invest so much money into content. But I'm coming from my side of the story. Now, from the customer side of the story, we expect them to be committed. We expect them to watch some stuff because they're going to ask us those same questions. That's why we produce all that information so we can have a meaningful conversation.
100%. It's powerful. Yeah, just what you said. I think a big thing is that everybody wants to like leave their job and kind of make that transition, right? And like the easiest thing is like, start a marketing agency, start this kind of company, start this kind of company. Um, and I think you kind of answered it earlier, but what do you think is like the one thing that allows people to kind of differentiate themselves from everybody else and actually get those kind of results and be the
I
guy?
mean, like going to the mindset thing is going to be the most important thing. That's going to hold you back or set you free. And the experience, like learn from the people and respect the people above you. If you don't have money, do whatever you got to do on YouTube. Like go get the free courses, but do one thing, go through them multiple times. I mean, knowledge takes effort. It takes repetitiveness, because think about this. Like, how long did it take kids to learn their ABCs? Like, Victor, you have children, right? Like, how long does it take them to learn 26 fucking letters? A long time, right? So, like, if you want to get really good at sales, be ready to put in like a little bit of work, a little bit of effort. Because I practice my sales scripts, I rewrote them, I say them out loud. I mean, even when I'm writing scripts for some of the students, like I'm writing them and I'm like, oh, that is so dope. And then I have to read it out allowed to put myself in the perspective of the person who I'm talking to. And then I have my edits, then I have my tonality, then I have my pauses. So then I kind of like go through and script it. And I really treat it like acting class in some respect, not really like I'm actually Robert De Niro or Brad Pitt or anything, but I like to make sure that my cadence, my tonality, I can tell a story through the phone if I'm a phone salesperson. I can use hand gestures or have different backgrounds on the TV if I'm using Zooms. So I want to make sure that I'm super prepared, because one thing I know is that I'm going to be selling this product and service. There's only a couple variations of it. There's 3 levels that we have. For the most part, it's for our avatars. We have avatar 1 through 3. There's new people, mid experience, and then really experienced people. So we just prepare based on who we're talking to. So we have different ways of what we expect their pain points to be, what their common FAQs are already going to be. So we're anticipating like fucking crazy. Like you mentioned Kobe Bryant, like this dude's a master of anticipation. He already knows the tendencies of every single player that he's playing against. So he's preparing ahead of time. Now, the way we do it as salespeople, we don't know who we're going to be talking to. It might be the first time we're talking to him. Well, but what we can do is listen to our past calls to be an indicator of our future, so we can find out, are we saying are our analogies and our stories not landing? Why are deals closing versus why are deals not closing? Why are deals taking 3 hours instead of 1 hour? Whatever those areas you want to improve, that's why you have to listen to your own voice. It's really painful to hear your own voice, because you're going to think, when I speak, I sound sexy smooth. But when I hear myself, that may not always be the case.
Yeah.
But it's really important to be self-aware. And that's how you guys do it. That's how I do it. And fuck, that's why you guys are doing so well.
We've kind of branched from business owner to salesperson. And I know that I've talked to you before about your method of sales. And it's one that a lot of people find controversial, but I would say it's smart. It's the hunter and the gatherer. It's the from start to finish. Let me nurture this lead all the way to the end. Can you talk a little bit about that and why you go with that particular style?
I do, because it's a style that I got accustomed to myself. And if I'm going to be working a deal, I'm working it from beginning to end, no matter what it is, whether it's selling our own programs to people, or if I'm doing a real estate deal. I'm not going to have a setter follow up or an assistant follow up or anybody else but me. I think it's important. And I think a lot of people that are like much more popular, like a Mark Cuban, are very similar. They take the deals themselves from start to finish. And that's just how I was and plus I came from a earlier era, let's say, in 2003 is when I had my first real professional selling job, selling for realtor.com. We didn't have setters. We had a database. Call these motherfuckers. You're responsible for bringing in $2,000 a day every time you're in this building, every single fucking day, until something happens, right? So we just got really good at following up, being accurate on notes. And I think the most important thing is creating really good habits, because the people I hate, when I hate hearing this, December's slow, November's slow, there's a recession. To me, all I hear is unpreparedness. Those are the most important opportunities, when you're already prepared for those things to already anticipate happen. Because we already know when Christmas is, we know when Hanukkah is, we know when Thanksgiving is. We have to prepare ahead of time for those days, rather than just get there and be like, oh shit, everybody's on vacation. I already fucking knew that. So that's why I like the hunter and gatherer, because it keeps people hungry in the times when things are down. And those could be 2 months in a year, but it can also be during a pandemic where everybody seems to be going out of business or making some sort of like objection of their life, of like, poor me, and playing a victim, versus embracing that, because that's like typically when the greatest opportunities have. But I like the hunter gatherer to go back into that. Is it creates really good habits. And then once you're demonstrated that you say you can, like what you do, that you are capable of these things, you can graduate out of that really easily. And we place people with their own setter, saying, hey, you got a team member, we're going to fit the bill. You got a dude that's here to make your calendar sane. You take 5-7 calls every fucking day. This dude will trail it with the contracts, the billing, the follow-ups, the rebookings, the missed calls, the savaging the profiles, all the DMs, the follow-ups, the cold emails, to get your calendar filled. So ultimately, at the end of the day, we want people to start with good habits, know what it takes to actually go back into time and be humble, and be able to train the person below you, so we can really make our team like very independent. Because when I hire people, my job is not to say, hey, don't ever fucking leave me. part of it is you're going to be getting the entrepreneurial experience. So if you did ever want to leave, you're going to be so strong. You're going to be way further ahead than a typical sales dude just posting, I need another sales job. Now you can take your career and run on your own if you want it. If you're crazy enough like we are to start your own business, you got to be fucking wild to trade a 9 to 5 and book appointments for a 24/7. But hey, if you bet on yourself, there's going to be a reward at the end.
Yeah, I love that. It's not about, possessiveness in holding the lead. It's about building habits, like you said. It's about building those habits, making sure that you can take a lead from start to finish. And I think that a big problem for business owners, going back into that these days, is a lot of business owners don't know how to sell their own product. And that's scary to me. As a recruiter, as a salesperson, that's scary to me, because you could have a great product, and if you can't sell your product, you expect me to hire somebody for you to come into your product, to take your whole sales process that you have not touched and you don't understand what that even looks like, and then you expect them to get you 40%, 50%. You expect them to scale you to $1 million in a year. And it's like that mentality of, listen, I need my salesperson to come in. I need them to perform all these KPIs and all these things, but you can't even sell your own product.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a huge red flag to me. It's a huge problem, but we see it all the time, everywhere. It's business owners coming in thinking, I need a salesperson, and they can't even sell their own product.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. Before this podcast, I was listening to a webinar from somebody else, and one of the stats they brought up was 27, like this is Fortune 500 companies. They spend 27% of their budget on HR. Now, another number was 53% goes into sales training and salespeople and tools. So that's important. It is. So just like a blood is to the body, revenue and sales is to a business. You can't survive without either, right? So I think that's the important part. In the example of like somebody who's can't sell their own product and wants these high expectations, they have to understand the nuances of like a sales process, the training that gets involved, the understanding of the product, changing the offer. I mean, there's so many different things that it just takes time, and that's more of like an overall consulting relationship versus saying, here's a killer closer that understands that industry. Here's his track record. Let's onboard him with you, and you can do your interview, feel him out, understand who he is, and if you like him, take him, because he's going to get taken on the next call. So it's like different. Like if they're prepared for scale and they're prepared because the owner in a smaller business, like a coaching business under $1 million or at $1 million a year, if they want to get out of the sales role, then yeah, they already know how to like interview or knowledge transfer or hire a little bit faster and make it successful too, because that's the key part. It's got to be a win-win for everybody. I mean, that's kind of like the overall overarching thing is like in the spirit of making this work versus place a salesperson, never talk to the dude and expect him to build a business. Like it is a culture that they're buying into, because a lot of people will leave because they hate their fucking bosses. And I mean, people have left me because they didn't like me. I mean, I'm not ashamed about that. It just wasn't culture fit.
Yeah. So Jaydaniel and I love to talk about the attitude of salespeople, of business owners. Do you think have someone, and this is a great question for you, because as someone who's been in the industry for so long, been in sales for so long, do you see an attitude shift from the grinder, the I'm in here to make a bunch of money, or I'm in here to provide, to like this arrogant, entitled, like self-centered salesperson or business owner?
I see both. Like I see a lot more, probably because I'm more active on social, of arrogance, and then I see a lot less of humbleness. Because I've interviewed people that have been on a sales call, or I'm sorry, an interview with me and my sales manager, and the way he conducted himself with no experience whatsoever. He sounded great, mind you. Like, don't get me wrong, great fucking questions. But at the end is where he totally fucked up. He's like, well, based on the sound of things, I'd be doing all these different things. I want a $5,000 retainer, and I want to be the sales manager, so I want to manage you. I'm like, dude, like that's not how you talk to people. You think that's going to actually get you the role? It's the arrogance and lack of actual experience. Now, mind you, if this was like somebody's best salesperson for a publicly traded company and they were bringing in millions upon millions every single month, yeah, that swagger is expected, but not from a newbie. There's humble people out there, but sometimes the humble people lack awareness to ascend up in scale. Because like in AYSO, when we're kids and playing soccer, you get a trophy for effort. Now that we're in the big leagues and this is business and we're putting food on people's plates, we're impacting so many people directly and indirectly. We need number one effort, but we need that skill to always get better every day, every week, every month, because we encourage people to learn on their own. We encourage them to go buy your own programs. We'll give you some access to paid programs we have. If we have them, we'll pay for some of your education if we need to. But that's us betting on the person, and they got to show that they have, number one, intense drive. Number two, they're highly organized. And number three, they're just so hungry that they're demonstrating early on that I'm not saying work 24/7 and text me at midnight to get a pat on the back or anything, but you're demonstrating without even asking for any pat on the back. Like you're doing your text messages, you're following up, you're preparing on your Sundays, because when you are a commission only salesperson, you may be representing a brand and you may feel like you're a culture fit and part of the team, but you are an independent contractor. So technically you are your own business. So you got to handle your own self, because if shit hits the fan, that entrepreneur gets burned out, because that's a big thing these days is entrepreneurs burn out and show up 6 or 12 months later. You got to be able to pivot really fast. And if you have skills in sales, especially, you'll make more than neurosurgeons.
Yeah. What would you say is the most important thing for someone who's like, all right, I have this business. This all sounds good. Like Rahul sounds like he's on point. Like GSD knows what they're talking about. What would you say is the most important thing to have before you come into working with you guys?
Like as a student or as a salesperson?
As a student.
As a student, I think being committed is the first thing to your goal, and think about you talking to the person of 2 years out. You like like 2 years out, you have to future pace yourself. Like right now, I'm just starting to work out. So what's keeping me going every day and not giving up and not quitting, because I believe I can actually get a six pack. Now, is it going to happen in a week or a month? The way I let myself go, it's going to already take 1 year. So I'm already envisioning, if you do the fucking work, you've gone 14 to 15 days, you felt bad when you took that one day off, even though you were sore. I'm already cycling through the mentality of like, I'm going to go and put myself through pain when I don't have time to be able to get that person I want to be. So when it comes to like your business and how you think about where you want to go, you have to have that future perspective. You have to future pace yourself. A good coach, a good consultant will walk you through those steps. But I always talk to the 2 years ahead of me, myself, and then also when I'm about to die myself. So I'm just like thinking like, hey, when I'm on my deathbed, when I'm taking my last breath, am I going to regret what? And then I go back and make sure I don't regret those things. And then it makes me decide, do I need to do this or do I need to do that? Will 85-year-old or 75-year-old me like take that last grasp of breath and say, you should have done it. Now it's too fucking late. So I have those mental conversations, which sounds like crazy talk, but I mean, that's really what's kind of guided me to that North Star that I'm looking for, which is freedom. And freedom comes through the money vehicle. The more money you have, the happier you can get. You can't buy happiness, but it can sure make you smile when you don't have that stress on your plate. But then when you have the right tools and skills, then you become bulletproof, because then you don't have to worry about the roller coaster ride that everybody goes through mentally. Because like in baseball, people have slumps, and it's not that they lost the skill. It's just that they're in a little bit of a mental rut. That's why I always like talk to my future self. And whenever I have a deficit, I'm the first one to like know what I need to get better at. And then I find somebody and see like who's doing that really, really well. Have they done it consistently? Is there other stories? And now let me hop onto maybe a webinar, I'll watch some live video, do some background info, and then I'll just hit them up, be like, hey, talk to me about like how I have this issue and talk to me about how we can solve it and what I can expect in the next 12 months. So I think about like giving myself a realistic expectation. And that's what I kind of coach and teach people through is like have realistic expectations, because if you're at $0 and you want to be at 100 grand in a month and you don't have a product or service, we're not going to be the right fit. Go somewhere else, right? But if you have a realistic expectation where you have a desire, you have a track record of showing up and doing good work, we'll fine tune the little hinges that can open huge fucking doors for you.
Yeah, it's that Klay Thompson effect, right? It's
I
like
love Klay Thompson too.
it's
Yeah.
like he's still one of the best shooters in the league. Guy was out for 2 years.
That's a remarkable comeback. Yeah.
Has to come back and has to work through, hey, I'm still that guy. I may be in a slump, I may be off a little bit, but I got to do the work and put the work in and just keep shooting every single day. I keep shooting, keep shooting, keep shooting, putting that work in. And then all of a sudden, he's back in the championship, playing big minutes in big games and helping his team win. And I feel like that's exactly what you're talking about. It's like if you're that type of person who's looking forward to the goal in the future, knowing what you have and realizing that you're just in a slump and you just got to do the work, I think that changes the game instead of saying like I suck and getting in on ourselves. And that's one thing that we do a lot. We get introspective and we start to beat ourselves up. And I have this saying where I say to myself, I'm like, if I were to talk to my daughters like I talk to myself, like I would fight myself, right? Because I'm so hard on myself, and I would never be that hard on my kids. So it's like, why am I putting that much pressure on myself? Why am I talking to myself that way? Let me look forward to what I can do and what I can accomplish, and talk to myself in that sense, in that frame of mind.
100%. Like we learn from our mistakes all the time. You just have to be aware that you can learn from your mistakes. Otherwise, you're just oblivious to what's happening. And that Klay Thompson story is just remarkable because, like, think about that. 2 fucking major career-ending injuries, to have the mindset and tenacity to believe that you can come back and come back strong is just absolutely remarkable. Because I mean, I've had a major knee injury and I wanted to play sports. I didn't come back like that. I came back motherfucking timid. That's what makes me driven so hard, is because I gave up on something I wanted so bad in my young 20s and teens, that now in business, that's not going to happen. And so it's like being able to learn from those mistakes. And fuck, I've lost multi-million-dollar clients that were retainers for a year, and they were literally multi-millions every single year. And I have an MBA in how to not let that happen again. So it's like these war stories are not like poor me. It's like, all right, how do we go back to the root cause, understand, learn from this, prevent this as best as we can, anticipate as best as we can, see the crystal ball through the future, and be able to kind of address the client needs before they may even have them, and then have a longer standing relationship. So you learn so much, and like, I mean, the gray hairs, like hindsight makes you a little wiser. Because I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when my parents gave me advice, I was like, fuck you, mom and dad, I'm going to do it my way. Now that I'm like, as I started experiencing what they were trying to teach me, I'm like, oh shit, that's what they were trying to say. I just didn't know that that was going to happen. I hadn't seen it yet. So I was lucky that I had the learning lessons, which I would have been luckier as if I actually listened to them. So now I'm so much more open-minded once I knew that my parents had like that crystal ball, because they ran businesses too. So they were always looking out for my best interests. And I was thinking like, why are you over my shoulder? It's my thing. Fuck off. Like, let me do my thing my way. But yeah, I mean, listening to advice has become like one of the most important things to me, is like always be learning. Like there's a learning lesson in absolutely 100% of everything that you see around you. And one of the books, I just want to plug a book really quick. This author passed away. I don't even remember his first name. His last name is Carlson. He was a PhD. It's called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and it's all small stuff. Like, that's not a sales book, but that helped me so fucking much, because it's easy to read. It's bite-sized little chunks and nuggets of like a paragraph of a cool lesson. And it taught me to like learn the lesson of what other people are doing to you. So if somebody like is intentionally bugging you or harassing you or whatever it is, there's a learning lesson to be there. What's wrong with that person? How can I help this person? How can I react differently the next time if I lose my temper? So that kind of helped me not only in sales, but in a lot of decision-making habits in life, because I mean, I was a short-tempered person. Like, I mean, everything that, like, if somebody crossed me, I'm like, dude, fuck off. What the fuck's wrong with you? But then this book, literally, I read it when I was 19. It was amazing. So I love that book. It's not a sales book, but it's just more of like a personal development thing.
Yeah. Jaydaniel, you look like you have read the book before. This guy's read everything. If there's a book that's about development or sales, this guy's like, oh yeah, I read that. I have that. Do you actually have the book, or have you read it?
No, it's one of those books I have, but I haven't read it.
Yeah.
I know.
It just
I saw
popped up on my
you. I saw
desk.
you looking around like, do I have this book? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm in my library here, so I was thinking, do I have it? Yeah, but I do.
I'm
Yeah.
not a huge reader, but I do have some good books. They're just not next to me. It's probably in my backpack. I carry it with me everywhere I go with the intention to read it. But there's a new one I bought on like NLP, like for sales, called Persuasion Skills. So far, I'm only like 12 pages in. But I fucking love it. Like there's so much good content and juicy shit in there that I've read those 12 pages a couple times. But yeah, there's some good books out there, because like authors write their whole life. There you go. Write their whole life and their whole story into a book. And that's like their life story. Everything that they've ever accumulated over their whole lives are all in here with the intention to help other people. But then people need that helping hand. Like the author of that book also passed away. So I'm talking about past people that wrote books, I guess, because I wanted to reach out to the dude. And I tried to get in his Facebook group and download the courses and just go into that group and be active. But unfortunately, the man passed away. But it's a fantastic fucking book.
As someone who hires salespeople and who recommends salespeople for their students, what would you say is the ideal salesperson, or the ideal way to come to you as a salesperson looking to work for you or for one of your clients?
If it's going to be a cold, if it's a cold approach, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go over a couple different scenarios. So if somebody just hit me up, the goal is I would want somebody to get creative to catch my attention. Don't say I can sell ice to Eskimos and all the like whatever bumper sticker stuff and movie quotes. Like come from a different angle, saying like, hey, like I'm a salesperson. I would love an opportunity to just get 1 minute if you can read what's inside. Made you a custom video, like a long subject line. Just tell me why I should open this fucker. In there saying, hey, the video is specifically 1 minute 31 seconds. I know I wanted to catch your attention, and that's the most people will listen to. And then I have more for you if you like and jive with me. Now, I'm not going to say I'm going to be your best salesperson, but I will say I will be if you give me the opportunity. Like that would get my attention so fucking quickly, because like I've always had this love for real estate because of my background working at realtor.com, and I've worked with over 40,000 agents because realtor.com became a client. And I always said, if I ever became a real estate agent, the first thing I would do is go find who's the top like 20 agents. I would start with the number one and work my way down and just say, look, you don't know me yet. I want to buy you lunch at your favorite restaurant, anytime, any place. Your wife is included and invited as well. I want to become a real estate agent. I want to work for you, make your life easier. And I don't want to be paid for 1 year. That would be my pitch to everyone. No, cool, next person. Cool, next person. Cool, next person. I just want to add so much more value to that person so I can learn and consume from the best. And then it doesn't mean I'm gonna actually work for 1 year for free. I'll ultimately get my own deals. But that's my whole point, is like catch the attention, have that tenacity, have that desire that first you have to be a student of the game, and then you'll get respect. Because there's too many people come out looking for meal tickets with their hand out, and that's not the way human behavior works. Gary Vaynerchuk wrote a book, Jab, 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 Right Hook, right? It's like value, value, value. Then the karma will come back in a way that you don't even have to ask for it.
Yeah. It's funny how, you say, this is how you come at me. This is how I would catch my attention. And what it really is they're creating curiosity. They're creating curiosity. And then now you're curious about them. And now you're appreciative of the method that they took to get you to be curious. So now you're interested in what they have to say. And it's like, it's that method. I want them to be curious about me. I want him to be curious about me. So I might even say, hey, I've been watching you for a while, give you a compliment or some value there. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, let me see what this guy's got to say. And then after you see my method and my approach, you're like, wow, I appreciate that was simple. I appreciate that was small. Let me be more interested in what he's got to say. Let me find out more. Let me book a call with him, or let me DM him back or something like that. And a lot of people miss these little steps, these little emotions that you have to connect. We're emotional by nature. So if I'm going to attract anyone's attention, I need to evoke emotion. I need to evoke attention, curiosity, appreciation, interest. I need to evoke all those emotions in order to get you to even respond. And that's the thing with online these days. Everybody's coming at you from every angle. It's like, it's coming at you from all angles. And it's like, how do I stand out? And I get that question all the time. Like, how do I stand out?
Oh, two of my hires that are with me is one's an email marketer and one's a video editor. And both of them were hired from cold emails, cold approaches. One was cold DM, one was cold email. And the guy was like, hey, can I just give you a sample of what I'm capable of? And all I ask is, do you promise you'll read it if I send it to you? And I'm like, yeah, I promise. The dude did his fucking research. He didn't give me some bullshit template. This guy found stuff about me I completely forgot I even did. And I'm like, holy shit. Like I was smiling ear to ear. I'm like, of course I got to give you a shot, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, this was well researched. If you can use what you got my attention with this sample, like put that into motion and we're good. Same thing with my video editor. He's like, can I just do a couple examples for you? And I know each example takes like an hour, 2 hours or so of their time, but I mean, now he's been with me 8 fucking months. We just started 8 months ago off of a free sample that he just put a little bit of effort. It probably took him 4 hours total time, couple hours research, some editing, etc. before he gave it to me. And then the real work was like 2 hours. I'm like, 4 hours. Now he's got a full salary for working with us for 8 months. And we couldn't be happier. We're telling him, you train another video guy because we need another one.
I've
So
seen
I mean, the
a few of those
cold approach definitely works. And one hack is this: like, it's not even a fucking hack. It's just what today's world is. If you want to get the attention of somebody, go engage in their content. There's nothing more appreciative than you engaging in somebody else's content, and do it a lot, because there's so many people are so busy these days. They will think they know you when your name pops up in an email or a conversation, and don't be too quick to the trigger to that DM. Like, go engage, give an honest comment. Don't say awesome exclamation point or boom or a fucking emoji. Give something very fucking specific. Like, there's people that I know that are in my program, and also people that have wanted my attention. They've given me such articulate comments on our lives, on our replays, on these things. And then when I see them pop up in my alerts, I'm like, I know that dude from somewhere, but I have no fucking clue. But I don't know the difference because we're all so busy, right? So you just think you do. So you're more like the opportunity to actually connect over the phone or Zoom is just so much more probable.
Yeah, it's just like if you want to get the girl, get to know her friends.
Yeah, there you go. Good one.
Yeah, that's
Totally.
awesome. That's awesome. Listen, I'm excited to have you on and to have talked to you. You're reiterating things that Jaydaniel and I have talked about since we started this podcast, since we've been knowing each other. And it's just a lot of it is come into business with a mindset of, where do I want to be? You know, get the attention of your prospect, believe in yourself, like all the things that you spoke on. It's refreshing to hear from someone who's been at it for so long, someone who's been doing it at the level you've been doing it, because it's like, all right, if he's saying it and he's the pro, like if he's major league, right, and I'm just minor league swinging my bat, right, he's saying exactly the same things that I'm practicing now, that means I'm going to get there. That means I'm doing the right thing. That means I found someone to model to get to the point where I want to be. And it's so refreshing to hear somebody at your level like take the time to talk to some people like us and just give us some knowledge and spit some game in. And I really appreciate you coming on.
No, I appreciate being here. And like I mean, if I can give one more word to the people that are going to listen to this, is just like, believe that it's worth it. It'll take some time. The faster you accelerate your skills and rehearse your things, you'll get to the result faster. Because like Kobe Bryant, he believed he was the best in the NBA his rookie season. He's like, give me Mike, I'm ready to guard MJ. And he believed so much, so well, that the Lakers trusted him to shoot 4 or 5 3-pointers against the Utah Jazz. And he missed all of them by airball, but he came back relentless as ever. And to me, in my heart, he's the GOAT. But for everybody else, we're not going to debate basketball. But that's what it really is like, just believe that there's gold back there, and you'll be burning. You'll be burning to find it. And I promise you'll find it faster than having any sort of uncertainty. So you kind of have to jump all the way in that deep end. Like, don't even hold your nose, and cannonball in that motherfucker, because your dreams are right there.
That's awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on, Rahul. Thank you for your time. From of the audience that I know is going to just geek out over this interview, thank you so much. And hopefully we can continue this relationship and have you on in another time. We can talk about more things. We can dive deeper into other things. But thanks, man, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yep, you got it. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Good to have you, man. Enjoy the rest of your day.